Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to a damp and miserable day here in Northampton. But we have got today a great music marathon, and it's the final part of the Tangerine Dream Story. We've gone through all their decades, and we're going to end up today with doing their soundtracks. Now, they did a lot of soundtracks for TV, movies, documentaries, etc. In fact, they did 25. But because there's 25, I am not going to go through track by track. I'm only going to do it with the top 10. But we are going to have a look at all these soundtracks. Some are really good, some are not. Some are just typical soundtracks that you don't know what's going on unless you've watched it. So we're going to kick off straight away. So coming in at number 25 is one that was recorded in 1988 but didn't come out till 1991, and it's called Dead Solid Perfect. This has got Edgar and Jerome Ferrose and Paul Hangslinger. Now this is, I think, is a golf thing, because it's just got little golf things like Out of Cads and Canada's tournament montage, In the Rough, US Open, and they're just little snippets. There's nothing more than a couple of minutes long. There's nothing on here that really makes up a song, because it's just more noises. It's just bits and bobs. I don't know what, unless you've watched this, you don't know what's going on. So unfortunately, I'm going to give this a nut out of 10, because it just didn't make any sense. Okay, coming in at number 24, we have, again from 1988, a soundtrack from a movie called Shy People. Now on here is Edgar Ferrose, Chris Frankel and Paul Halsinger, and Jackie Virgil sings vocals on Shy People and Dancing on a White Moon. We've got Shy People, a vocal version, Joe's Place, The Harbour, Nightfall, Dancing on the Moon, which is pretty rank, Civilized Illusions, Swamp Voices. I quite like this. It's one of the tracks I do like on it. And Transparent Days. And then we have an instrumental version of Shy People, which is much better than the vocal version. There's some lovely tones on the keyboards on this. But apart from that, the rest of it is just, again, you just don't know what it means. Something if you've watched it. Very 80s. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. Coming in at number 23, this is 3 O'Clock High from 1987. The song Something Remember Me was written and performed by Jim Walker, and it's Edgar Ferrose, Chris Frank and Paul Hansinger. It's Jerry's Day Today, which is 44 seconds. Got 46, 32, 15. No Detention. Any School Bully Will Do. These are all about 30 seconds. Now, one of the longer tracks on here is a thing called Go to the Head of the Class. It's got some nice tones. Yeah, it's the sort of thing that Tangerine Dream were doing in the 80s. Sit, Sylvester LeVay, 47 seconds of just a load of noise. The Fight, Jerry's Decision, The Fight is on Paper. Bright, Big Bright, Knuckles, all these little bits, Who's Chasing Who. Weak at the Knees is quite good. It's got a bassy synth on it and it just stops. A very dated soundtrack this one is, I'm afraid. So I'm going to give it a RTO ranking of 3.5. Okay, coming at number 22, this is from 1999, and it is a soundtrack to The Great Wall of China. Edgar Ferrose and Jerome are on this. Got tracks like Meng Tai, which is not too bad. Summer in Shao, it's alright. Southgate Nights, great track. It's got that real Chinese feel into it. It's a really good track, I do like that. The Silence of the Barking Monk. Zhu Zhani, Stranded Without Shade, No More Cradles. Real weird stuff this is. And Lights of Beijing, it's okay. Snow on the Dragon's Peak, Cradle of Prodigies is alright. Tiger Forest, though, it's a very good track, and that's not too bad. It's just another weird and wonderful album from this band. Yeah, it's just one of them. It means something if you've watched the film, I think. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 3.6. Okay, coming in number 21, another one from 1999. So busy, and it's called What a Blast, and was released as Architecture in Motion. This is a TV sort of thing that they did about people that blow up stuff. It's got a lot of speaking on it, and it's Edgar and Jerome again. You've got Stone Yard, Silver Siren, Beauty of the Blast, Dream Sculpture, The Last Trumpet of 23rd Street, Art of Destruction. It's alright. Forced to Surrender, Times Square, Jungle Journey. There are a couple of bits on here that are pretty good, but on the whole, nah. So I'm going to give it an RTL ranking of 4 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 20. This is from 1983, and it's Wavelength. It's Edgar Ferozzi, Chris Frank, and Johann Schmeling. Alien Voices is a weird thing. It's 16/7, all these weird things. The Wavelength main title, it'd be better if it was longer. Desert Drive is a bit strange. Moj Yavin title. Healing, it's just a shame it's too short because it's quite a nice little track. Breakout is 1 minute of nonsense. Alien Goodbyes is nonsense. Although it has got a little bit of acoustic guitar. Spaceship is freaky. Church Theme, lots of churchy sort of sounds. Sunset Drive, Airshaft. Alley Walk, Psycho Lab, Running Through the Hills, Campfire, and a thing. There's some interesting bits and bobs on this. Sounds a very good soundtrack if you knew what was going on again. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 4.5. Okay, number 19 from 1997, The Keep. It's Edgar Ferozzi, Christopher Frank, and Johann Schmeling again. Glorious film is Pur Natus est Nubis. Weird thing that is. Ancient Power Plant, nice. Quite dramatic, like that. Silver Seal, The Voices of the Common Land. Arx Alaman, The Night in Romania is quite good. It's a nice ambient piece. We've got Canzone. The rest are just little bits of noise more than anything. Then we have The Supernatural Accomplice, which is the real good use of a voice synth on that. Again, once again, we've got an album soundtrack that comes under the category you would understand it if you watched the film. So I'm going to give that an RTO ranking of 4.6. Number 18 is from 1989, and it's Catch Me If You Can, which is a movie. Edgar Ferozzi and Paul Halslinger are doing the work on this. This is a strange one. Just more sounds and dramatics. The only one that really has got some sort of structure, there's still got some really structure on it. One's called Dylan Alone at Home. Some nice little keyboard runs in there. And the other one is Racing Montage. It's got a bit of structure to it. The rest of it is just little stabs and dramatic sounds. It's got 19 little bits stuck together. Some of the tracks, if they'd have developed them, they would have been really good. So it's not a bad soundtrack, but I think these tracks would have been better if they'd have made them a little bit longer. But it's a soundtrack. So I shall give this one an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 17, we got a 1984 now. Well, this is, of called Firestarter. It's Edgar, Christopher and Johan on this. First track is really good. Crystal voice. I love the vocal chords on this. It really is thing. Then they just got this sort of incidental music, and then the flash final is probably the best track on here. Well, again, it's anyone that does soundtracks are gonna be pretty good at what they do, and it probably has got more prominence than if you've watched it. But musically, I think it's got some good bits on this, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, at number 16, it's one of those that was recorded in the 80s but did not come out till 1991, and it's called The Park Is Mine. Edgar, Christopher and Johan again. The Park Is Mine is pretty good. It's very short, but it's pretty good. Fatal Full Funeral is quite solemn, which is his. The Letters, parts 1 and 2. I love the sequencing in that. That's pretty good. Taking to Park. It's an 8-minute thing that's boring. Something was going. It's more, I think, about the action than that. Swatting SWAT. Pretty good. It's 7 minutes long, but it's got some action into it. Really good sequencing. Not bad at all. The love theme, it's all lovely, lovey-dovey stuff. The helicopter attack's really dramatic. The Claymore Mine and Stalking's a bit weird, and the final credits is okay. Some nice pieces of mean music in here. Some of it is a little bit monotonous, but on the whole, it was a better listen. You could actually listen to this and sort of get into it. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.6. Number 15 then. Le Faire Wallraff, or The Man Inside, from 1991. Everything's written by Edgar and Paul. It's just little bits here and little bits there. Tendency of Love, though, on here is a little dreamy thing. It's really good. To Belle's Death by the River. Dramatic. Death scene music is always dramatic. And I think it is. The piece of music sets to whatever was going on. Taboo Society's okay. And Investigation's okay. Mixed bag here. Some good stuff on here. This is not my favourite era of the band anyway. But it's a shame, because I think this is probably one of the best things they did in that period. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Number 14, from 1989. Destination Berlin. And this was a 360-degree movie. Whatever that means. So it's Edgar Ferose and Paul Halslinger. Alexander Square is a really nice piece of music. It's quirky, it's got a beat, very, very good. The Brandenburg Gate is another fabulous piece of music. It's only about 3 minutes long, but it's got some harpsichord on it, and it really, really works. Down the Avus is pretty dramatic as well. Berlin Summer Nights, it's a lovely sequencing piece. Very enjoyable, this is. There's some long tracks on it, and I quite like this one, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.2. Okay, number 13 is from 1996, and it is called Oasis. It's Edgar and Jerome. Flood got some really nice tones on this track. Then you have Zion, it's alright. And then Reflections, great bit of music. It's gentle, it's ambient. It's quite long as well, it's 5 minutes and really works. Cliff Dwellers, Waterborne, Cedar Break, Summer Storm and Hoppy Messerheart. They're all quite long, but they have all got some nice ambience. It's quite relaxing, these pieces. So it's not bad an album, really. So I'll give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Number 12, we go to 1989, and it's Miracle Mile. It's Edgar and Paul. Teetering Scales is great. Lovely bass sounds on this, and the sequencing is really good. Then we go, most of these tracks are all based around the same sort of sound. So they all sort of sound the same until you get to the Spur of the Moment, which is very ambient. It's got a voice syncing that really works. All of a dither is a bit, it is a dither. You can tell it's, oh, panic, quick, what are we going to do? And then the final statement, it's got this real soft but high pitch tone that gives it so much atmosphere. Very, very good, actually. And then it's all over. My favourite piece on here, it's so gentle and relaxing. And the Museum Walk gives another nice piece of music with some lovely keyboards. I think this is a really good soundtrack, actually, as far as soundtrack albums go. So I shall give this one an RTO ranking of 7.4. Okay, just missing out on that top 10, we have from 1986, Legend. Edgar Ferozzi and Christopher Frank is on here, with Jonas Schmeling, and we've got some guests on here. We've got Brian Ferry doing vocals on track 1, guitar David Gilmour and Guy Pratt, and on track 7 we have John Anderson. So the first track is that track that Brian Ferry sings on. I like this, it's my favourite track on here. Brian Ferry's good, he's got some great guitar work from Mr. Gilmour, and Guy Pratt, of course, who's worked on Pink Floyd and all that sort of good stuff. It's pretty good. Cottage is the best piece of music on here from Tangerine Dream. Absolutely stunning piece of music. The Unicorn theme, I'm going to give this a mention because the start of it sounds like Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. Loved by the Sun, which is a wonderful track with John Anderson singing on it, and it is wonderful. Blue Room, The Dance, Darkness, The Kitchen, to end the thing. I'm quite impressed with this one. Just missed out. The tracks with Brian Ferry and John Anderson are fabulous, and I like how this has been put together. So I shall give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. So there we go. That's some of the ones that didn't quite make the top 10. So here's the top 10, and we'll look at these in more detail because they are really good soundtracks. So coming in at number 10, this is from 1981, and it's called Thief. Got an interesting bunch here. We've got Edgar Ferozzi and Christopher Frank. We've got Johan Schmeling on the keyboards. We've got Klaus Kruger on percussion. Craig Safan is another musician. First track on here is called Beach Theme. It's brilliant. It's got a great guitar solo on it, and that's what really makes it. Dr. Destructo, another great track. The bass sounds good on there. It's just one of them synthy bass sounds, which is absolutely brilliant. Diamond Diary isn't too bad. A little bit repetitive, but it's okay. Burning Bar, I love the stabby keyboards on this. Excellent little track. Then we have Beach Scene version B. A little different to the Beach theme. It's slowed down a tad, but it's the same tune, but they've just slowed it down. Very clever how they did that. And it just changes it just a little bit. Scrapyard. It's got lots of metallic sounds on it. Trap Feeling. Second favourite track on it. It's sultry. It's what? I love the sultry Tangerine Dream. But my favourite track on here is a little thing called Igneous. I love the echoes on this, and I love the atmosphere. It's a pretty decent album. Forget that it's a soundtrack. It's just a very good album that you can listen to without thinking it's a soundtrack. So I shall give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. I'm going to have a drink because I've been talking far too much. So coming in at number 9, this is from 1996, and it's all done by Edgar, and it's called Zoning. The first track is called The Conspiracy. Lovely pieces, it's top drawer, some wonderful sequencing and keyboard structure from Edgar on that. I do like that track. Skyscraper. Edgar's used the drum machine really well. It's got some nice tones on it as well. Headhunter, great track. It's got some saxophone on it. Really adds to the atmosphere. Really good track. Then we've got Downtown Chicago. Now, I don't know how he's worked this, but having been to Chicago and been downtown thing, I was thinking some of the clips that I took of it, and I've sort of imagined this music really works. I don't know how. But yeah, it's really good. I can really get into that. Fading and Turning. Nice gentle pieces of keyboard on that. Affluent Society. I love the vocal synth on this. Really works. Stairway Affair. Got some woodwind on here, I think. Some sounds clarinet or saxophone sort of thing. Not quite sure, but it really adds to the track. Good Choice, Bad Time. It's just one of those Tangerine Dream that's got repeated sequencing, some drum breaks in it. It really is good. Bachelor of Crime, a very moving piece. The gentleness is wonderful. Unfit for Consumption. The start of this is quite dancey, and then it just moves into this wonderful sort of saxophone driven track. Days of Grief and Glory. Some lovely use of woodwind sounds on that. Pretty good. Eyewitness News. It really is like a news theme, you know, the news at 10 and all that sort of thing. Really good. Missing Link. It is very 80s, very theme tune 80s. Not bad at all. Some really good stuff on this. Not a bad album. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.8. Coming in at number 8. Here we have one of them that was written in 1987 but actually come out in 1992, and it's called Deadly Care. So you get the Deadly Care main theme. Interesting track. This is from a TV series apparently. I've never heard of this TV series, but it's got that theme tune sort of sound of the 80s. Paddles and Stolen Pills is next. Interesting sequence and very short piece. Very good. A Strong Drink, A Bad Morning. Dramatic. Very dramatic. Something happened on this bit. It must have done thing. Wasted and Sick. What's going on here? I don't know. It's very short, so it's a really strange one. Hope for the Future. It's got that. It has got that hope. It's ambient. Some nice tones on this one. The Hospital Room. I think this is just listening to it. You get the feel that someone is ill in hospital. It's got the dramatics. It's got that sultry saxophone that does make it moody. It's quite moving. So I don't know what's going on. In Bed. I love the different tones on this. It's eerie. It sort of continues on from the hospital room. Up next is Annie and Father. It just sounds like this is. It may be it's a father and daughter situation thing. Very moving piece again. More Pills. Very short piece. It's quite moving as well. And then we've got In the Head Nurse Office and At Father's Grave. Very short piece, but it gets this. You get the sadness. The bit the head nurse is probably being told of the death, and then you obviously the father's grave is about them at the grave. So, and the last thing is called Clean and Sober. It's very daunting. It's really good. I think this is a really dramatic sounding soundtrack. It's very sad in places with that mood. I think this is really good. It's sort of, I never saw the TV series, but you get the gist of what's going on. It's a very sad story, but it's very good in what they did for this. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7. This is from 1986, and it's called Canyon Dreams. Recorded in 86, but one again released in 1991. It's Edgar, Chris and Paul. We've got Shadowflyer to open this one. Stompy sort of sound on this with the stabby keyboards, a bassy sort of synthy sound which is really good. Canyon Carver, interesting track. I like the different textures of this. Stabby, bass, sequencing, really good. Water's Gift, now this is terrific. This sounds like Jean-Michel Jarre's laser harp. It's got that sort of sound to it. It's absolutely wonderful. It's the best track on here. Terrific track. Canyon Voices is a lovely piece of music. It's got this sort of harpsichord sound on it, and I do love that. Sudden Revelation comes next. Ambient music. Sounds like some panpipes on it, and I love panpipes. Wonderful piece. A Matter of Time. Got some sequencing, some nice keyboard runs, and that panpipe sound is there again. Purple Nightfall, very short piece. Sounds like it's got a clarinet sounding piece on there. Then we have Colorado Down, written by Jerome Ferrose. Excellent piece of ambient music, very peaceful. Rocky Mountain Hawk is the last piece. Sultry piece to end this trip. Sounding very moving and atmospheric. I think this is one of the better albums of the 1980s in general by Tangerine Dream. It's got some wonderful pieces on it, and if I'd have put this in the 80s thing, it would have been up there. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, coming in at number 6. This is from 1988, and it's Edgar, Chris and Paul again, and it's called Near Dark. The first bit is called Caleb's Blues. It's catchy, it's sort of electronic-y, bluesy sound, and I like this. It's really, really good. Then we have Pick Up at High Noon. The drumming is great. It's dramatic. It must be a dramatic scene because it is full of atmosphere. Rain in the Third House. I love the use of guitars on this. It's nice and crisp riffs. Bus Station, which includes May's theme. It's alright. It's a bit boring to listen to, but I'm sure it meant something in the movie. Good Times, cheesy 80s song, but the guitars do make it good. She's My Sister is the next one, Resurrection 1. My favourite piece on it's got dramatic keyboards. I think it's telling a story. There's different tones on it. May Comes Back. Very good use of the 80s sound at the time. Father and Son, Resurrection 2. Very similar to She's My Sister, but it's just got a little bit more fades in it and a different sort of keyboard tone. Severin Dies. Obviously a character is being killed off, and it's got that dramatic sound to it. It's metallic. It's pretty haunting, actually. Fight at Dawn, very dramatic. Quite a good piece. May's Transformation. This is ambient. I don't know if it's about someone resurrecting from the dead or whatever, but it really is quite bright. This is one of those soundtracks, although I've never seen the movie, but with the titles of the songs you get a gist again, and I think this is very, very good. It reflections on what's going on. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay then, coming at number 5. Now this is a little bit different. It's called Rumpelstiltskin. Yes, it's about fairy tale. Maiden with the long golden hair. And this came out in 1991, and it's Edgar and Jerome. And the narration is done by Kathleen Turner, the actress. So the first bit is the story, and you get the music in the background, and she reads this beautifully. It's a lovely. I love this fairy tale. It's one of my favourites as a child. So then you get the little bits of music on their own. So you've got Rumpelstiltskin's theme. It's lovely, it's gentle, it's got the harpsichord, it's got that medieval sort of feel to it. Really is good. Alchemy of Straw, strings in this. Again, it's gentle, it's got choral. My favourite piece though is Rumpeltown. It's a piano piece and it's absolutely delightful. There's a little bit of percussion in there that guides it, but it's absolutely wonderful. The Countryside, they've absolutely nailed this. It feels like you're in the countryside and it's got the brightness. A Walk in the Woods, a little bit more piano work. It gives it that sort of dinginess of a forest and a thick forest. Really good. Dance on the Hill, the strings on this are wonderful. A Mother's Triumph is the next track. Dramatic, the strings, that leading keyboard gives it some crescendo. And that's the last track. And this is a delightful album. The music fits wonderfully with the narration when you hear it as one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 4 from 1998. This is Transsiberia, and it is Edgar and Jerome. So the first track is called Yaroslaw Station. Love this, love the passion, the quirkiness on it. It's got a good beat to it, really uplifting. Excellent track. Smoky Carlo, excellent track again. It's a long piece. It's got flows wonderfully. It's sad. It's happy. It's a proper piece of music by Tangerine Dream. Terrific. Siberian Lights. The tones of the keyboards. This is about right for that Tangerine Dream part of their career. Very, very good. Yenisei River, nice gentle piece, and you can feel that you're by a river. Balakal Sunset sets the scene of a sunset. I've seen some wonderful sunsets in my time, and the music just fits any sunset. Wonderful. Then we have Samwar Jury. It's got some lovely little keyboard bits on this. There's this underlying keyboard that sort of goes up and down, when then you get like a solo keyboard on top of it, which really adds to it. It's lovely and mellow. Then we have Ulan Oud, my favourite piece up here. It's got sort of a clarinet sound on it, and I love that sound. And it's got this string synth underlying, really, really good. Then we have Shinnigan Night, dramatic or what? I think this is absolutely moving. Terrific piece of music. Then we have Russian Soul. I love the use of the choral synth on this. Absolutely beautiful. The Golden Horn. That lovely synthy bass that I love. Gentle stuff on the top of it. The layers are really good. And it's a great track to end the album. For me, this was probably their best release of the 90s. Anything they did. This would have been my number 1 pick for the 90s albums if it was a 90s ordinary album. I think this is great. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.7. Top 3. Some really good stuff in this. So number 3 is from 1985 and it is called Heartbreakers. Edgar Ferozzi, Christopher Frank and Johann Schmeling. First track is called Heartbreakers. Gentle. Very gentle. Then you get this really stabby sort of dramatic keyboard, which really work well together. Footbridge to Heaven. The first part of this is a piano piece, very sultry. And then you get this underlying string keyboard that really lifts the track to a different level. Twilight Painter. It's okay. Then we have Gemini, very 90s, very 80s, sorry, but they've used the synths very well. Rain in New York City. A little favourite on here, it's gentle. It's got some nice synthesizer and a quite simple drum beat, and it works. My favourite track on here is a thing called Pastime. It's just so moving. It's short, but it's one of them tracks that it could have gone further. But it is a soundtrack. The Loser, the cheesy drum machines, naff, but the guitar solo is good. Breathing the Night Away, a very gentle, soothing piece of music. Desire is a very dramatic, it's a long piece. It's got a panpipe sound which brings it to life. Thorny Affair, it's not aged very well, but it has got a very, very nice melody to it. Love that. Then Daybreak, very nice, gentle piece. Not a Daybreak, not a bad way to end the album. Apart from that one track that I'm not keen on, it's a really good album. It flows nicely and it's got some nice pieces on here. And you don't have, it's one of those soundtrack albums that you don't have to think, well, what's going on here? So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Okay, then coming in at number 2 from 1984, Flashpoint, Edgar Froese, Christopher Frank and Jan Schmeling. And there's one track on here that's done by a band called The Gems, and that's called Flashpoint. First track on this one is called Going West. We got this great sort of percussion and the brassy sounds and the bass sounds. I do like it. It all combines to make a strong track. Afternoon in the Desert. It feels like you're in the heat of the desert. It's got that atmosphere of heat and heat haze. You know, that lovely heat haze you get in the desert. Whoa, really good. Plane Ride is an interesting tones, but what makes this, and there is a lovely bit of guitar work on that. And I do like that. Mystery Tracks comes next. Gentle, dramatic, very 80s, but it works. Lost in the Dunes. The percussion here gives it that sense of panic. I think it's very clever to use a drum machine to give you this sense of panic. And all the sort of keyboards, it sort of brings it together, and it's anxiousness. Very, very good. Highway Patrol. It's just very short sequencing that doesn't really fit with the rest of the album. La Fantasy. I love that long stretch chord that sort of runs through the whole of the track, and then you get this quirky little bits of keyboard come up all through it. Madcap Story, really good track, very much of its time, but sounds great. Dirty Crossroads, my favourite track on the album. It's got a mystique to it, it's a mystery and very sombre. And then Flashpoint, which is not a Tangerine Dream track, it's by The Gems, and it's quite good. Pretty good soundtracks. Flows well. Even the song they didn't do on here is good as well, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. But my number 1 is, it's their very first soundtrack, and it is a great album from the 70s, and it's called Sorcerer. So you've got Edgar Froese on here, Christopher Frank and Peter Bellman, so you've got that classic lineup. So the first thing is the main title. This is classic Tangerine Dream of the 70s. The weird noises, the little sequences, everything about it is classic Tangerine Dream. Fantastic track. Search. Top drawer again. It's got that bassy sequencing on it. The sounds and the atmosphere is wonderful on here. The Cool. It's a very short, but it's eerie. The sound effects on it are just absolutely classic. Tangerine Dream again. Creation. the tones on the keyboards and how it all comes together, and little bits here, little bits there, sounds that go through the headphones. It's just wonderful. Vengeance, the dramatics of this, with that great bass, synthy bass, lots of keyboard stabs added into the mix. Then we have this very short piece called The Journey. Dramatic, some wonderful flute soundings on this as well. Grind, typical 70s Tangerine Dream sound. I love the sequencing in this one. Rainforest, we've got this bouncy sort of phase sequencing going on. Absolutely wonderful on the headphones. Then Abyss, one of my favourite pieces of music that Tangerine Dream have ever done. It's that typical sound. It's 7 minutes, slowly starts, the effects coming up, the pace gets to build up, and that's why I like it. It just builds and builds. The Mountain Road is another short piece. The keyboards are wonderful. Then you get this wonderful bit of piano on it. Impressions of a Sorcerer. Interesting percussion on this. Shouldn't fit, but it does, and it has got a great guitar solo on it. Betrayal, Sorcerer theme, some lovely phasing on here. I do like it. It's a wonderful piece of music. It's everything that you expect of 70s Tangerine Dream, and it's a great piece to end the album. Maybe a soundtrack album, but it doesn't sound like a soundtrack album. It just sounds like a normal Tangerine Dream album of the 1970s with the original lineup. It's a brilliant album. I'd have scored this high in the 70s video I did. Without a doubt, it is fantastic, and I love playing this, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 9.5. So there we go, folks. That is Tangerine Dream. If I've missed any out, I know there's a lot of you, but this is a band that have put out 150 albums in total, so I'm sure I have missed some out. If you think I have, let me know, and I'll try and fit them in at some stage. And I know there's one or two of you would like to do some live albums as well, so what I might do is do my top 10 live Tangerine Dream albums at some stage, but it won't be for a little while. So I've really enjoyed doing this one, and I know a lot of you have liked this. There's a lot of fans of Tangerine Dream out there. So we start a new story next week, and if you want to find out what it is, you'll find out tomorrow night when I reveal it in the What's On Next Week part of the live stream, or just look on the What's On Next video that comes out on Friday morning. Okay, that's all for today. This will take a little while put together, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye for now.